Hello there, this is John here, and I'm going to give you a review of my 6-week-old 2018 Nissan Leaf SL. It's the first electric car I've ever had, so I'm going to show you how this fits in my family's life. So here's the car. It is gun barrel gray, I believe is the color that it's called. And it's got these cool locks on the door handle. If you have your key fob with you, you can lock and unlock it here. It has the not so great Japanese styling, but you know, it's okay. It's definitely an improvement from the old Leaf as far as styling goes. It looks like a normal Nissan with, you know, too much chrome and jagged lines. It's got this monster chrome faux grille, big chrome Nissan emblem. I never understood the chrome deletes until I started really looking at cars lately, and now I understand why people take all the chrome off their new cars. So the first thing about an electric car is people are going to ask you how long does it take to charge it. So normally you would pull into your driveway, put it in park, you hit the charging button, and you go to your EVSE or your home charging setup. Open up the charge port here. I've got this thing just mounted on the wall. I pull it out and plug it in. There we go. And it lights up. So I think that took about a minute. If I wasn't holding the phone, it would probably take me 30 seconds. My 6-year-old son can do it. That's how long it takes to charge a car. Of course, you can't drive away right away because it's going to take some time for all the electrons to make it into the car. So that's kind of a facetious answer. But it's never really an issue because, you know, it can charge overnight. This car has a 40 kilowatt hour battery, and it charges at 6.6 kilowatts. So that works out to taking about 6 hours to charge from completely empty. I've never done that. I've never gotten the car below about half full. So it usually takes about two or 3 hours to fill back up all the way. So let's put this back away. So for charging equipment, the top end Nissan Leafs now come with this mobile connector here that has the NEMA 1450 plug. So I'll pull that out here. So that looks like this. This is what you get in an RV park if you want to plug in an RV, maybe a dryer, I'm not sure. But it's essentially 240 volts, 50 amps, and you know, it can supply a constant 40 amp current. You have to kind of overrate it, so it's maximum rate 50 amps, but it can do a sustained rate of 40 amps. And so Nissan gives you this mobile charger that you can take with you in the car. It has a little adapter that just plugs on there to make it into a 110 if you only have a standard outlet like that available. You can plug it into that as well. And so I got this essentially charging station installed last year, or 2016, because there was a tax credit of 30% on our alternative fueling stations. You can see this thing runs all the way to my electrical panel which is actually on the back side of my house, so it was kind of a worst case scenario as far as installation goes, because it was a really long run. But I put in 2 of these for another future electric car one day. So we have this one here, but taken up by the internal combustion engine van, normal gasoline van that we have, until we have a viable big family electric SUV or something like that. Right now the only thing is the Model X, and that is way out of our budget. So if you get this installed for the Nissan Leaf or for a Tesla, you want to put the ground at the top here. Sometimes the normal orientation would be rotated 180 degrees, but for the Tesla and the Nissan, the way they make their plugs, you want to have the ground at the top. So tell your electrician that. And there is the charger. So it is running on 240 volts and I believe about 26 amps to make it into 6.6 kilowatts. The car, let's see there. The car has 2 chargers, so 2 charge ports. This is an AC charge port with the J1772 connector there, and you can find these on any level 2 charging station in North America. It's AC, and I'm not sure what the maximum rate is for AC charging, but the Nissan onboard charger takes 6.6 kilowatts, so that's the most you're going to get out of a level 2 charging on this car. Most of the trims on the Nissan Leaf come with this DC fast charger with this crazy plug, and that is the Chatamo. You can find this at a lot of different EVgo charging stations. Most level 3 charging stations support Chatamo, but not a Tesla supercharger. They have their own standard. Something to watch out for. I'm afraid this standard is going to die because not very many cars use this plug. Most non-Tesla electric cars use the CCS charging port, which is different than this again, and I think that's going to take over eventually. But for now, Nissan Leaf has this Chatamo, and they're relatively widely available in major cities. Not so much along travel routes, unfortunately. So the Nissan Leaf is really not going to be a great car to take on trips. It's mostly to get around the city. So that's that, and then the entire charging port has this door here. All right, let's go inside the car. So inside the car, you can see you got a lot of buttons everywhere. It's got this big start button, so if you have the key inside the car, then you can hit that start button to initiate the start sequence. And you have lots of menus. Okay, so this car is equipped with Android Auto, and whenever the phone detects that the car starts up, then Android Auto starts up, and that kills your video. So we're starting this again. So I'm looking at the battery temperature screen here. It's usually has not been an issue. I'm in Colorado, and I got this car in the middle of February. It's now April, and I haven't driven more than maybe 60, 70 miles in a day, so that just doesn't get the battery temperature up. So we don't ever really use this screen, but just looking at it. This is kind of the main screen that you see while you're driving, and as you apply the gas, it shows you how much power you're using, and then you can see on the left side it's got the little bit of blue stripes. That is the regenerative braking, or basically, since it's an electric car, if you start slowing down, it's going to put energy back into the battery instead of using your friction brakes to just make heat. You essentially run your motor backwards, so it slows down the car, and the electricity flows back from the motor into your battery and recharges your battery. It there's no free lunch. So with a gasoline car, you can't store the energy, so you can't regenerate. But you're never gonna get more energy back into your battery than you take out of it without being parachuted onto the top of a mountain and coasting downhill or something like that. So sales guys will tell you weird stuff about how you can get all kinds of range by regening all the time. The regen is not 100% efficient, so it is more efficient than just wasting the energy, but if you're regenning for no good reason, you're just wasting energy. So there's no magic there, despite what some uneducated salespeople might try to tell you. So you see, it tells you the battery's 96% full, and it tells you that the range is 165 miles. The rated range on this car for the full battery, according to the EPA test, is 151 miles. And the ranges on electric cars are really hard to calculate because there's so many variables. The main two variables being, is it cold outside, and are you traveling fast? Traveling fast is the absolute worst because the air resistance of any car, the amount of energy burned by air resistance is proportional to the square of the speed of the car. So if you go twice as fast, you're using 4 times as much energy to overcome the wind resistance. So going fast really drains the battery on any electric car, which is why you see such an emphasis on aerodynamic designs, because if you can make it more slippery, it's going to make the range much higher. So that's green. There's a charging time, so it shows you how much the battery is. You see there's the 6.6 kilowatt is the standard AC charger. I should mention the Chatamo, I'm not sure what the maximum speed is. The most I've seen is a 100 amp charger here is what I've used, and if the battery has a voltage of about 400 volts and you put 100 amps, then you're going to get 40 kilowatts. So 40 to 50 kilowatts is really probably the fastest you can charge this. So you could probably, you could fill up 80% of a battery in 30 or 40 minutes. So if you were going to make some kind of trip that has this level 3 DC charging available, 1 or 2 stops will may work out. You don't want to do more than that with this car, partly because it has essentially no active cooling on the battery, and so the battery is going to heat up as you drive it and as you're charging. And to protect the life of the battery, it's not going to let you charge quickly when it's hot. So from what I've seen with this car, is it really starts being limited about the second time you DC fast charge, or the third time you DC fast charge. So the car's gonna be heating up as you drive it. It's gonna heat up while you charge it. You iterate that a couple times, and then by the third charge, it looks like it's charging around 20 kilowatts, which would take from empty to full 2 hours. So that's not that fast anymore. So again, if you want to be taking a lot of long trips, then you know look at maybe the Chevy Bolt, or even that's not going to work because you don't have a lot of level 3 charging stations along travel routes. But the Tesla, any of the Teslas are basically your only good travel option at this point. So okay, so that is the battery screen, battery temperature. So this is where you're going to get to the issues of having your charge rate limited for the DC fast charging if your battery gets too hot. Battery capacity. So this is another thing that you need to know about with the Leaf, especially because it does not have any active battery cooling. This battery is almost certainly going to degrade over time, and so these are the amount of capacity that your battery has to charge it all. So the older this car gets, the more we use it, this should drop over time, so that the range of the car is going to drop. It's a whole new thing, and a whole new battery that we don't know much about yet. So I don't know what this degradation is going to look like.
Weather alert. Wind warning. A high wind warning. 1 mile.
Okay, it's windy. Thank you, car. So we'll be watching out for this. So I was really worried about this with the previous generations of Leafs. There are really, really good deals on these, but they only had a 30 kilowatt hour battery plus this battery degradation problem. So the EPA range on the 30 kilowatt hour Leaf, the older generation, was about 110 miles. And then you factor in cold weather reducing that range, decreasing over time with this degradation, and that really made me concerned about whether that range would be enough for us. So I decided not to get that car, even though it was really cheap. But with this one, it caught, there's not the great deals on it to be had yet. Maybe that'll come later. But this, the EPA 151 mile range is way more than what you really need. There's more and more charging stations becoming available. So I decided I don't really worry about this degradation at this point. If it degrades more than, I believe, 33% in then 8 years or 4 years, I'm not sure. There's a warranty on it, and if the degradation is too crazy, then they're going to replace the battery. And they're moving to liquid-cooled LG batteries next year, so who knows, maybe they'll even give you a better battery system if they ever have to replace these under warranty. We'll see about that. So that was all the screens on that side. There's also, there's a music screen that you can go through. That is your navigation screen. And it doesn't give you turn-by-turn directions, unfortunately. That's really nice on the Model S, but you don't get that here. Here's a little chart that's not that useful because it has really bad granularity. There's the energy economy history. I haven't used that before. Here is my lifetime energy economy, 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. And I don't try to optimize this at all. I really don't care. You could probably do quite a bit better, but I like to punch it at the red lights and drive it, use that instant EV torque. So yeah, there's your EV economy, some information. I'll tell you tire pressure. This is the cool thing. This Pro Pilot. It's kind of like a little bit like Autopilot 1 on a Tesla. It's not quite as good, but basically you push this Pro Pilot button and it will keep you in your lane sorry, you activate it with this ProPilot button, and then you can start it by hitting this set button, and you can you can set your cruise speed, faster, slower, and then your following distance, 1, 2, or 3 distance behind the car you're following. And that's a pretty cool feature. It'll actually steer a little bit for you. It'll keep you in your lane by steering, and keep your distance from the car in front of you, or your set speed. And then it'll come to a complete stop if you're following a car that stops. And then if you sit there and they start up again, you have to hit the resume button to make it take off again, or hit the gas or the accelerator to make it start going again. So that's a really nice feature. It nags very quickly. If it doesn't feel you moving the wheel or squeezing it or something like that, within about 10 seconds it's going to start nagging you to shake the wheel and let it know you're paying attention, which is good because these systems don't work that great yet. They do okay, but they can't detect stationary objects and things like that. So you really need people to pay attention to driving while they're driving. What else can I tell you here? You can disable the steering component of the ProPilot with this button, and it's got a heated steering wheel, which is nice. The cabin seems to heat up really well. But you can save energy by using these the heated seats. You have driver and passenger have these seat heaters. That works pretty well. And the heated steering wheel and the cold weather package that comes on the SL trim. It doesn't really heat very evenly, but it's still kind of nice. This thing has, I believe, a heat pump instead of just resistive heating, and that works great. It doesn't use too much energy. Don't know about the air conditioner yet because it hasn't gotten cold or hot yet, so that's worked fine. And then one of the reasons why I wanted this trim was also for the Android Auto, which is pretty well integrated. You just you have to plug in the USB cable, which plugs in right there. And you plug in the cable into your phone, and that starts up Android Auto, and then you can listen to your music, or use the navigation system, make phone calls, things like that. That works pretty nicely. Here's the way you start it. It's got some cup holders and electronic parking brake. I have no idea when I'm supposed to use that. And then the killer feature on the Leaf is the e-pedal. And essentially you turn that on, and when you let off the accelerator, it will regen, obviously, like any other EV with a really strong regen mode. But if it can't regen strong enough to bring you to a stop, it'll actually apply the friction brakes. So you can really do one pedal driving with the e-pedal, and that's really nice, like with traffic lights and stuff. You just let up on the pedal, it comes to a stop, you take your foot off the pedal, and you just wait till the light turns green, you can go again. Electric cars almost universally just have one gear. So we have park, we have reverse, and we have drive. And reverse and drive are the same. It's just whether the motor is running forward or backward. All right, so I love this car, but I want to tell you a few things that Nissan screwed up with this car. And that first thing is this piece of plastic here, which really intrudes into your space. It's especially worse on the passenger side. You don't notice it too bad on the driver's side, but when you're sitting as a passenger, and when I have my daughter in the back, she needs to have a little bit of space for her room, so we put up the passenger side seat a little bit, and then there's just not very much leg room, and it's really encroached by this plastic piece that sticks out, and you feel it, and there's no reason for it except to kind of make this shelf space, and I don't want that shelf. I don't need that. Get rid of this thing, Nissan. This is horrible. It's got to go, because it's this hard plastic that intrudes your passenger space. It's uncomfortable, and it's a bad idea. The screen is okay. It's an okay touchscreen. The one problem is that it really glares up. If the sun is at the wrong angle, you can't see it at all. Most of the time it's not a problem, but if the sun's in the wrong spot, that is an issue. You can't see it at all. My old car, the screen was recessed into the dashaways and didn't have any of those issues. But let's see. When you back this car up, it makes this chime, and that chime is really annoying. I'm gonna figure out how to turn that off. I wish it didn't make such a stupid sound, but I believe with the Leaf Spy app you can disable that. I might look into that. The good thing, it's got a really nice backup camera. I love that. And then it also has this 360 view. I first saw that in the Chevy Bolt, and it looks like Nissan implemented it almost identically, did a great job. And it's really great, especially when you're not sure if you pulled into a parking space just right, especially when you pull through and you're not sure if you went too far or if you should back up a little bit. You can see with this surround view that you're really dialed into parking spots right in the middle. So I enjoy that. So I'll take that out. And then my final complaint with this car. Overall, I love this car. We take this car everywhere that we can around the city. All four of us like to take it whenever we can. Is with the charging at home. You can go into, let's see, the EV settings. There's all these charging things, but what they do on the Tesla is you can set the amount you want to charge. You can say, I want to charge the battery to 80%. So I got home the very first time with this, and I went to go find that screen where I could set the charge limit to 80%, and that doesn't exist on this car. You can't do it. You can set up these timers and things, so you can sort of work your way around it and make it happen if you want to do all the math, but that's not what I want to do. So if anybody from Nissan is listening, please fix this. The reason that you're supposed to do this is that it's hard on lithium-ion batteries to charge all the way up to a high voltage, which is what you're doing when you charge it to 100%. You're going to a higher voltage. And you also don't want to go to a low voltage. You want to kind of keep it, ideally between, say, 20% and 80%. So I wanted to just, set the max here to 80%, which would give me way more range than I need, that we need as a family. And then you just charge it to 100% when you need it. But with 80%, you have this top buffer. You have all the regen on demand that you need right from the beginning, because you've got that extra 20% at the top. But also there's a lot of free charging stations in my area. So for example, I go play soccer in the park. Well, there's level 2 chargers there that are free, and I wouldn't mind just going there and topping off, right? So if I always had my battery at 80%, then I could drive over there, fill it up there, and get some free charge out of it. Whatever, it's $1, it's not a big deal, but it'd just be nice to feel like I got paid to play soccer. But since we go home, we plug in, and we can't really stop it automatically, it charges up to 100% every time we plug it in. And now when I go play soccer, if I go plug it in, can't charge up the battery a bunch. I can only charge, whatever it took me to get to the soccer park. So Nissan, please let us set a charge limit without having to do a bunch of math on timing. And other than that, love this car. Feels great to save a bunch of money on not buying gas, not having oil changes, just having a much simpler car. It makes no noise, doesn't make any smell. I can sit there and idle and feel great about myself. Not making any gases come out the tailpipe. Anyway, I would recommend that you get this car if you have a bunch of city driving needs and want to save some money on that, but don't buy this car if you need to travel a bunch or if you need a big car. It's not a big car, and it's not a good car for traveling in. Alright, thanks for watching.